Ugh, who knows how long this will go. I forgot to charge my camera again. This is gonna be one take because I refuse to do this again. I can't do it. I can't do it! I promise I am fine. I just, Okay, we're getting there. You know what this channel was missing? Chaos. You and I can really vibe. I feel like you and I can vibe on this, okay? I feel like we can understand each other when things are chaotic, which is what things have been the past 2 months since I last posted. So today, we're just gonna doodle. I'm gonna do a simple doodle, okay? I feel like when I've talked about doodling, sometimes people will be like, girl, that's too complicated. I ain't trying to do all that. So I'm gonna try to focus on some really just chill, slow doodling. So that's what this video is gonna be. Just me catching up with you and the chaos, and also just some drawing. We're gonna do some drawings. So yeah, just kick back, put a robe on like I have. It's a gloomy day. And it's been a gloomy couple months. But anyway, let us be gloomy together and let us do some drawings. And then after that, hopefully we don't feel gloomy anymore. Okay, that's the goal. Let's go with the chaos. Well, here we are. This is what I'll be working on today. Not the whole thing. My goodness, this paper is quite large. This is I believe 18 by 24. It's marker paper. I do love marker paper. It's kind of thin. That's why I do have something under it. Not because it's going to bleed, but just because it kind of adds to the whiteness of the paper so I can see the marks a little better, because I do have some marks on my actual table. Sometimes those show up and then they start to confuse your eyeballs. That might just be me because I'm almost 40 and so I'm concerned about my eyeballs. And what my eyeballs actually see. But this is what we're going to work on today. I've started a couple circles. This paper, like I said, is quite big, and maybe I was overestimating how long it was going to take me to work on this. I started this weeks ago, and I was like, no, I'll just do like a little bit every day. But that proved to be quite the feat. So as I doodle, I'm going to pick a circle. I'm probably going to keep working on this one, or maybe pick a new one. I don't know. I kind of like this one with the overlap there. It's a little smaller one. We'll see, but I'm going to pick one of these circles to work in today, and we're just going to catch up. We're just going to chat just for a little bit. If you're like, girl, I ain't trying to hear you right now, just want to doodle, then hey, put it on mute, but still watch the video so I get the views. But I wrote some topics on some sticky notes in front of me, so that way I wasn't rambling too hardcore. But yes, we are going to find a little circle here and get started. I do have some pens that I'm going to be using. I may have mentioned these. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned these pens before. I love pens, and I have lots of different pens. So these are a variety of different pens and markers. I've got the graphic pen here, the graphic one. This is from Sakura, and it is archival ink. This one's more of like standard, like fine point marker tip. So I really do like that one for thick lines. I also have, this one's one of my favorites, the Identa pen, also by Sakura. So I've got this pen. This one's double-ended. So I've got another marker end, and then there's also like a fine point on the end of this one. And then this is one, I don't know the like full name of the pen. I just know that it says comics on it. I bought this years ago, and it's a nice marker too. It's a bit of a thicker marker on the end, and then it does have like the fine point pen on the other side. You don't need to have all these pens. You can legitimately do something like this with just like, one double-ended marker if you had like a Sharpie or something. But I like variety. All right, I like to spice up my life. So I have those, and then I also have these. These are by Pacific Arc. They're the black liner pens. They're waterproof. And this is a pack I got forever ago. Back when I used to be an art teacher, I used to go to the art conference every year. And I loved it because not only could you learn a ton of new things to do in your classroom, but there was a vendor area and you could buy art supplies super cheap. So it was like the one time I would buy art supplies for myself, and they'd be crazy cheap. So I bought a pack of these. So there's a pretty good range of sizes of the pen tips here. So like this 0.05 is like super tiny. I don't use that one as often, but it is nice when you're getting into like super small little areas. And then I think this pack, I think went up to a 0.8. Yeah. So this one, which is, if you've ever used like a ultra fine point Sharpie, that's probably about what I would compare it to. It's probably a little bit bigger than an ultra fine Sharpie. So that's what I'm going to be using today. That's my spiel for the pens I'm going to be using. And then we're just going to talk. We're just going to vibe. I'm going to try to pick a circle to work with. I know I started on this one, but I had an idea for this one over here about how I was going to work this curve in. So I'm probably not going to work on this one. I think I'm just going to pick a new circle to work in. All right. Welcome back. I'm going to use my my radio voice, my jazz radio voice back when I was on the radio in college. So my first degree is in radio and television. So for a little bit, for just a little bit, I had to do some liners for the radio station where I had to be like, this is jazz on 90.5 The Cat. You're listening to Jada Rain. And yeah, so that was my jazz voice. I cannot keep that up for an entire video. Anyway, I'm just going to be doing some doodles, like I said, just kind of free form. Probably going to do some super simple ones in this just because, like, I don't want to get anything too intricate right now because my brain just can't handle that right now. So I'm just going to, like, pick a few random pens to work with here. I got a 0.8, a 0.4, and a 0.1, and then these other markers as well. So anyway, honestly, in the last few months, weeks, feels like years, I just did not have the motivation to even make art. It was just really hard, not only looking back at art that I've made and thinking, is this my best work? Is this something people really want to see? Am I doing something that's even, that important that people are like, oh yes, this is art that I must have in my home? And seeing my art sales just like totally decline, I just told myself, well, like, you're not meant to do this. And this isn't for you. People aren't in a space where they can buy this right now. I don't know why you keep going. So I just constantly had that negative voice in my head. And I know it's so easy to be someone to give advice and say, no, don't believe the voices in the back of your head that are telling you you can't do this. You can do this. That is so much easier, like, said than done, to just immediately decide, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm worthy of this. I'm capable of this. So it was just such a hit to my self-esteem to try and motivate myself to keep going with my artwork. And I just did not have the motivation to do it. I just didn't feel like I was loving it. I mean, for a while there, I really enjoyed making my gouache paintings because so many other people were really into those too. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I love making these gouache paintings. People are really resonating with them. And lots of people are buying them. But then I felt like I was forcing myself to make those. And so I did stop making them for quite a while. And then I had some that I did make before that and just kind of stockpiled them and didn't want to post them and didn't want to show anybody what they were. But I finally... once I shut down my website, I finally decided, okay, I'll post some things on Etsy and just see what happens. And I got maybe 2 sales off of there. But I didn't want to have an Etsy store, to be honest, just because I had researched it for so long and knew I just wanted my own website. But just financially right now, I can't have my own website. And plus, I wanted to shift from the platform I was on before. And I wanted to shift over to Squarespace. But I just did not have the funds to do it. And so I was like, well, I'll just try out Etsy right now. And that's what I'm on. I used to sell bracelets on that Etsy because I absolutely love reading, not gonna lie, monster fantasy romance books, because it's just one of those fun things to read. And some of the books are just kind of goofy and weird, but I love it. And it made me want to read again. So I was just making, cute little bracelets that were kind of themed after some of those books. And that's what I was doing on Etsy. Just for funsies. But yeah, I eventually decided to switch it over to my current artwork. And it's I knew it was going to be difficult. It's so hard to gain traction on Etsy. I read all the blogs and, look at all the info about SEO and all that stuff. And it's just, it's difficult, but I'm going to keep it for now because it's all I have for now. But I am hoping to eventually switch over to the platform that I really want. But Yeah, man, like self-esteem really gets hit when your artwork isn't selling and you really start to believe that, oh, I'm not good at this and I wasn't meant to do this. And when you're the only one trying to hype yourself up, it's so hard. And then just the stress of, me trying to look for other jobs too, because I want to do this full time, but I know that's not feasible. And I want to have something that's either part time or full time, and then, make my art on the side. So that also made me stop making art, because I'm just like, okay, you gotta go do another resume and do another cover letter and all of that. And I just didn't care about my artwork anymore, to be honest. And I was just like, who am I? What am I here for? What am I doing? Just like having a crisis is what it felt like. And I know a lot of people go through that. You go through those phases in life, but this just felt like something that I was like, this is never going to change, is it? Like, I feel like I'm going to be stuck forever, but I gotta try to be more positive and be like, no, you, and tell this to yourself too. Those of you that are watching, you deserve to have happy things happen to you. So just keep hyping yourself up and telling yourself that. And I feel like things will eventually feel better, and I won't feel so bad about just, art sales not being where I wish they were. Okay, I did have to go get up real quick and grab an inspirational book just in case my brain had a freeze and I like really needed a pattern. But anyway, one of the things about getting out of a slump, if you were to ask me, oh my gosh, how do I get out of my art slump? I would just look at you and be like, girl, I don't know. I'm in one right now. I don't know. And I feel like as an artist, sometimes it feels like you're supposed to know all the answers on like, how do you get motivated to make art? What do you do to make art? Honestly, sometimes it's just, am I in the mood for it or not, And I really want to be one of those artists that can just sit down and be like, all right, today I am working on this project, or today I'm working on this project. But I feel like I'm just not there yet, and I've got to try to at least sit down a few minutes a day and make some art. But then I sit down to try to make the art and I spend too much time thinking, well, what am I going to make today? And then by then 2 hours have gone by and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. So I know once I'm in a full-time position somewhere, I'm not going to have that luxury of being like, well, I don't know. I sat around for 2 hours trying to figure out what to make and I just couldn't decide, So I got to get into a practice of at least 10 minutes a day trying to make something, So that is definitely that's something that I really want to work on, is trying to get myself to be motivated and turn it into a practice, meaning I am intentionally setting aside for it, even if it's only 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. I'm trying to do something. And that's why, let me grab these. They're over here by my desk. That's why I really feel like I found these in a tub that I have of just different papers. That's why I feel like these, I probably need to start using these more, because they're just little tiles. They're just little squares that you can just like doodle on. So instead of having this, giant sheet of paper, I can have something even smaller, that I can just be like, okay, well, I'm going to fill up this square with something. Maybe I'll just do some colors, some squiggles, whatever, and stop trying to tell myself this needs to be something that's for sale, or something that, it's only worthwhile unless it's something you're selling, which I feel like sometimes your brain gets stuck in. When you do start selling your artwork, you start thinking about, oh, well, I'm not going to make that because it's not something I'm going to sell. But then you're setting yourself back several steps because you're not thinking about the fact that, oh, working on that one thing is actually going to be beneficial because it's going to help my skills, So I feel like I will do those more if I maybe like write that down and tell myself like, okay, 10 minutes, let's try to do some doodles or some drawing. Even if it's just, like I said, on the small little art tiles, or maybe I do one of these circles. Like, I've got to break myself of the bad habits that I have now of not making art. And that's such a bummer, because I really do love art, and it feels good when I'm making the art, and it feels really good when I have finished a piece. So I got to really utilize that more in my life and realize that art can be a permanent place in my life, even if it's not something that I'm doing full time. Oh my God, y'all. I was really leaning into that mic for a minute there towards the end. I had to cut that part out. It was like heavy breathing. Okay, moving along. So now I did think of something as I was switching that out and cutting that clip out. I do get motivated when I look at different art books. Like I've got lots of different art books on my shelves in my art room, and sometimes I forget that I have all of that info there that I could be utilizing. And I do need to start flipping through them more and realizing that, oh, these are things that could like truly, help me out when I'm in a slump. Instead of just like, yes, I have these art books and they're on my shelves. Don't I look smart? Like, that's not why I got them. I got them to use as, inspiration, things that I can always reference back to. And if I get stuck in a slump, I can say, oh, well, let me just pull this book out and look at this type of artwork and see if I can think of something that I can do myself that would kind of get me out of the slump. One of the things I also like doing is going to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, because that's where I am, in the Houston area. And they just now opened an exhibition with Kehinde Wiley's work. It is remarkable. If you're in the Houston area, please go see it. I mean, it's going to be there for quite a while. I forget when it leaves, but I'll pop it up on the screen here, the info about it. It's a combination of some of his paintings and sculptures, and I don't want to give away too much because I'm just going to tell you it's breathtaking. I'm a huge art nerd, so like, of course, I'm like, this is amazing. But even like the person I was with that we, saw the stuff together, who usually leaves my side and wanders off and looks at their own stuff whenever we go together, even they're just like, oh my God, this is incredible. So yeah, I would strongly advise if you're in the Houston area during the time that it's here, please go see it. It was incredible. I mean, I've got a membership to the museum, so I will definitely be going back to see it because it was just, it was amazing to go see that. So the Museum of Fine Arts, no matter how many times I go, like I said, I have a membership, even if it's stuff where I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. Like, you've been to the floor that has the Van Gogh, you've been to the floor that has, any of the other artists that you really enjoy. Like, why are you, so obsessed about seeing it again? For some reason, every time I look at it, I see something different, especially looking at abstract work, expressionist work, anything that's like, kind of not really like modern art, but like contemporary arts. Sometimes you find stuff in there that you didn't realize that you had seen before when you get to stare at it for a while. I love going when there's not a lot of people at the museum because then you can stare at stuff and people aren't in the way. But standing in front of it and just having a moment, I really enjoy that because I do see things that I did not see before. And then it gives me inspiration later, especially looking at the colors and lines and that sort of thing. If you can just reduce down a piece to its, color line and shape, that's fabulous, because then you're just like, oh wow, like look at how this shape over here connects with this shape and how this shape relates to another shape and this color leading into this color. So that's, even if you're someone that doesn't really, you're like, I didn't take an art history class, museums are still fun. At least for me, art museums are fun, and the Museum of Fine Arts is always free on Thursdays. If you need to go there, the parking garage is nice. There's 2 parking garages. Love going to the underground one off Montrose, but it's nice to go. And I think the first weekend of every month is like free for Bank of America holders. If you're someone that is on the Lone Star program, the Lone Star card program, I believe you can get in for free as well. So it's a cool thing. I mean, you might have to pay extra for certain exhibitions, but some of them, like the Kehinde Wiley one, you can just go. It's included within the price of the ticket. Now for this little section here, I'm just overlapping circles. Like I said, we're just vibing. We're just trying to see what happens. So yeah, I'm not really, I thought I was going to look in this book more, but I'm just like, let's just see what my brain comes up with. I feel like I force myself to think there's a rule when it comes to doodling, and I'm someone that hates rules. So with my artwork, I'm just like, don't tell me what to do. But like, I don't like having too much of, a rule on, well, this is how your patterns need to look. Even when I'm doing some of the patterns in this book, I'll kind of start with the root of what the pattern is, and then after that I can kind of sprawl out and do my own thing. But I don't know, today I feel like I'm just gonna, if I need an idea for a type of line, I might just look at the cover and not really flip through it as much. Because then I'm like, yes, your own brain came up with that, girlfriend. And that's something that I need to work on too. And you might, if you're an artist as well, you might realize that, oh wow, I'm kind of not really letting myself think about what it is I want to make. And I'm kind of putting these rules on myself on, well, this is what your animation needs to look like. This is what your painting should look like. This is what your sculpture should look like. But then, after a while, it gets boring because you want people to come up with new and innovative things whenever they're creating art. So you can, learn from what the rules are. That's what I would always tell my students. Like, you can learn what these rules are, but then you can also start to break them. So like we can look at things when it deals with proportion, like with doing portraits. Like you can understand like, okay, this is how I would draw a 3D face. But then after a while, you're like, well, I can manipulate it this way and this way to make it seem like, oh, part of this face is like melting down or part of the face, is tilted another way. So in that sense, it helps to learn quote unquote rules in art. But like for the most part, it's best to try to experiment more, Know what I'm saying? And I think that's something I kind of hold myself back from too, is experimenting with things. I think it's probably because I grew up in a family that was large and we didn't have a lot of money for, spending on extra things. So like if you wasted something, it was just like, how dare you? So me having all these art supplies, like it's really sad. I have hoarded art supplies for like a good 20 years. Don't judge me, they're organized. But I have hoarded these art supplies because I was so used to, as a kid, being told, if you spill that, if you waste that, whatever, like we can't get another one, we can't get more. So it's kind of still been in the back of my mind, even with my art supplies, where if I make a painting and I kind of mess up on it and I'm just like, well, shoot, I can't really use this paper anymore. This was like a gouache painting. It didn't turn out the way I wanted. And now I feel like I've messed up this paper, so I'll save it and I'll be like, well, maybe I can do something with it later, which, is a good thing to do. But then it also keeps me from making any new work because I'm just going to mess it up. I don't want to mess up. So that's also something. If anyone else relates to that, do comment below. But it's something that's in the back of my mind, and I gotta get rid of that idea that, if you mess up on something, then you've ruined everything and you don't deserve any art supplies. Like, that's not the route your brain should take. But, some of us had things said to us when we were kids that stick with us as adults. Okay, I did have to stop for a second. One of my dogs was beating on the door. They're like, Mom, we don't do closed doors in this house. So, I had to go see what's up with that. They're fine. And they have their dinner, so they'll be all good. But yeah, one of the last things that I was thinking about is thinking about my style of artwork and like the art that I do sell to people. So like, the gouache paintings I was talking about earlier, I absolutely love making those. And it's crazy because those paintings, when they're matted, are 11 inches by 14 inches, which to me is the smallest thing that I make because I'm used to making things really big. I have an easel that like turns flat like a table. And so I can put a little board on there and do some watercolor. I'll probably pop up some pictures of a couple things. But I really enjoy doing that and working with 18 by 24 paper and large paper and that sort of thing. Cause I can do these wild, broad strokes, but I was always scared to do anything smaller. So doing the gouache paintings, I was like, wow, this is actually turning out to be pretty good with the gouache. And maybe I should do these more because, they're small and I can sit down and work on them. If I'm working on the ones in my easel, I've got to kind of stand up and, it's a whole rigmarole to get everything all set up with the easel. But with these gouache paintings, everything's just like in front of me on the art table. And then it kind of forces me to control my brush strokes a little more because I'm not on a large piece of paper, but I really enjoy those. But I did have a bit of a crisis. I had a moment where I was just like, is this all you're going to do? So this is your style now? This is all you're going to do? And I just really got down on myself because I'm like, are you really evolving? Or are you just doing the same thing over again? And I'm like, damn, why is my brain so mean to me? Like, jeez. So it was a bit paralyzing for a minute there because I just kept thinking, like, well, this is all you're good at. You can only do these because these are the ones that sell the best. And there's a lot of prints that I had that sold really well of canvas paintings. And so I just keep thinking to myself, like, well, you're never going to be able to do that again. You can't do that again. You're not going to be able to replicate that. And no one's going to like it. No one's going to hate it. Everyone's going to hate it. And then you're just, going to be a washed up artist. I'm like, oh my God. Why is my brain like this? This is terrible. So yeah, in that slump that I had, it was a struggle to really just be like, girl, tell that brain to shut up and just, do your thing. Try to make a new painting. If it doesn't work, that's fine. Try something else. Like you have gesso, which if you're not an art person, if you don't know what gesso is, it's basically like paint primer. So if you mess up on a painting, you can just slap on some gesso and it just covers everything. And the great thing about acrylic paint, I love using acrylic, is that it's really easy to layer on top of. So I'm like, all right, if you mess up on a painting, okay, we'll gesso on top of it. And then it'll be fine after that. So I do want to try other things with sculpture, and I've got some air dry clay to just kind of do some fun stuff. And part of the reason why I haven't is, again, I keep telling myself, like, well, you need to have this controlled body of work. You need to have things that all relate and, look the same. And if you're a painter, you're a painter. And then I'm like, well, Picasso, albeit not, the greatest person in the world, made all sorts of things. Like, there are several artists who made all sorts of types of art. They didn't just stick with, I'm a painter, so I paint, and then that's all they do. There were other things. Like, even at the Kehinde Wiley exhibit that I saw, I honestly did not realize that he did sculptures. So that was amazing to see in person, all those bronze sculptures. So it's good to experiment with other things. It's fine if it's out of your comfort zone. So that is another little tidbit that, hopefully it encourages you, but I'm also trying to, convince myself too, because I'm terrible at motivating myself sometimes. So I gotta say it out loud in order for me to believe it. Okay, see, this edge is getting a little funky, but I'm pretty sure whatever I put over here will eventually fix that. I don't know what I'm doing with this. I don't know if I want this to go up the whole way. We'll see. I feel like it's going to be a lot, which is fine. You see why we're just doing one circle today? I feel like it is going to be a lot, but it's starting to feel a little wonky, but I think, like I said, it can just be fixed. Half the time when you make a mistake in your artwork, it's probably more than half the time. Most people don't even notice it. You're the only person who notices it. So it's fine. We just gonna keep going. Okay, things are getting weird up here. Things are getting weird in here, but I switched to the 0.5. I was using a 0.8 for this. So I switched to a 0.5 to see how I would like that, just to try to continue with the petals. Or whatever these are. I don't know what this is. Are they leaves? Are they flower petals? Who knows? I'm just gonna keep going with it. The good thing about these little tiny spaces is that they'll just kind of blend together. We'll still have the contrast of the super, super black and the stark white of the paper. So, that'll kind of help keep things cohesive. And then as I get to the larger ones, then it'll make more sense. Now, I don't know about y'all if you are an avid doodler, if you've doodled a lot before. Sometimes you start staring at it too much. You kind of feel like your eyes are going like cross-eyed a little. That might just be because of the lights, but sometimes I'm just like, whoa, that's like, there's a lot going on in there. And I have to kind of like look away for a second so I can readjust my eyeballs so I can see what it is that I'm doing. Again, that might just be because I'm almost 40. I turned 40 in February, so my eyes are probably just like, you need to go to the eye doctor. So, that could just be what's going on there. But okay, I think this worked out to keep it moving upwards. I wonder if I need to switch pens again to a smaller pen. Do I have a point? I do have a 0.3 because this is a 0.5. Yes, it is. See, 0.5, but I do have this 0.3 here that I might need to switch to. Yeah, we'll see, because things are getting a little wonky. A little too wonky for my liking. Oh, that's so much better. Again, like I said, you don't have to like buy every single pen like this. But, you know, if you have times like that where you want to do all sorts of different size shapes and little doodles in here, sometimes it is really helpful to have a variety of things for you to choose from so you can pick the best pen for the job. But yeah, when I first started out, I was just using... Do I have one? Oh no, I don't have my Sharpie. I think it ran out of ink. Hold on. Wait. As I just blocked the camera. I don't have the Sharpie up there anymore. But I used to have just like a Sharpie pen, regular Sharpie pen, and then the, what do they call it? Ultrafine, like an ultrafine Sharpie. I'd have one of those, and those were the only two things I used. Which is why this pen is nice. Because this is basically both of those things together. So I don't really have to have multiple pens, but you know, sometimes you want it, and that's fine. If you're able to get it, then get it. Again, these pens were like crazy sale because I got it at the art conference. I don't even think they were more than $10 for this set. I'm not even joking. So stuff gets marked down real nice at those art conferences, which was nice because, you know, on a teacher salary, you're just like, I can't afford any of this. But then when the art conference comes around, there's like the different vendors there, and you're like, wait, I can afford art supplies for myself. So that's always nice. All right, so 2 sections left. Yes! Yay! So one of the other things I've been thinking about while I've been on this, I guess we'll call it a hiatus. Girl, I don't know what I've been doing. My momentary break from making artwork. One of the things I kept thinking about is just like wanting an art community, like a like-minded art community of people that are like all around my age that like do different things with art and create different things with art, but aren't pretentious about it. I know that sounds like, you're going to be picky now, but you know, sometimes you'll go into an art space and you start speaking to some people. Like sometimes there would be art shows I would go to, and you would start speaking to some of the people there, and you're just like, whoa, I don't want to have to use a thesaurus or a dictionary to be able to talk to you. I just want to talk to you normal, like one-on-one. But then, you know, some people, they've turned it into like this whole, I had a college dissertation when speaking about art, which is fine for some people. I just want to vibe with just everyday people that are like, hey, I do crochet, or hey, I do this type of art. We can be like, cool, let's learn from each other, you know? Okay, really quick, because I'm editing this right now, but legitimately the day I recorded this, I learned about something called a third place. So you have your first place, which is where, you know, you live, it's your home. Your second place is your work. And then a third place is like an area that you get together with others. You might know them, you might not know them, and you share experiences, you share ideas, you share things together. And I believe that is exactly what I'm talking about here. And I didn't even realize that, but I learned it the same day. And that is fabulous. I love learning new things. Anyway, you should go look up this article because it was a very interesting read. Okay, bye. So I think I've really realized I have craved something like that, to just have a group of people that, I know it's corny to say, but like just vibe with, that we all can have the same interests, but then we also want to, you know, get together and learn from each other. And this is why I wish community centers were still like a huge thing. That's one of the things that makes me so angry sometimes, like when driving around downtown Houston. I have this thing when I'm in the car where I'll see a neighborhood and you can tell they knocked down a bunch of really nice historical houses. Ones that, I guess were not marked to be saved. And then you'll see some giant monstrosity condo. And I always scream like gentrification, because I'm like, the charm of the neighborhood is gone, and then everything starts to look the same. And I'm like, why couldn't we have put a community center there? Where there could be cool stuff like, yeah, there's like a little gym there. And I know the YMCA exists. But I just would love that just community vibe of, we're gonna sit and use one of these rooms and we're all gonna learn about knitting together. We're all gonna learn about crochet together, or we're gonna learn about sculpture and maybe some ceramics. And it doesn't have to be one of these things where it's based on, well, you gotta pay for that, And that's also one of the things that when making my artwork too, I'm just like, am I just another cog in the capitalistic machine? Because like, you want this to be something that you could potentially live off of, but at the same time, you're like, is this really needed? Is it really needed for me to just make pretty things for people to hang in their spaces? Am I providing anything good to the world? You start having these doubts about what it is you're creating, and are you making something that's helpful to other people? That's like at least for me, that's a big thing, that I want to create things that are helpful for people. So yeah, that's something that kind of held me back as well. But man, would I love to have a little community to just meet up with. I think this might be one of those signs on where I need to start doing my adult art classes again, because I did stop doing them in 2020, and I just didn't start them back up again. And I feel like maybe I need to start there. Of course, they have to be paid ones, because you might end up in a space where they're like, okay, yeah, you can use our space, but you need to pay for it to rent it out. And so then you have to like charge people a ticket price, whatever. So that way you could, cover the cost of having to pay for the space and the supplies and all that sort of thing. But I really wanted to have my classes were like base price, like $25. Even now, since I've been able to purchase other supplies just through other sales since then. I mean, I could be like, okay, it's like $20 a class in person, and I just have all the supplies you could ever need, and then we work on something together. I do hate the charging part, but again, this is just for now, this is what the vibe is of the times that we live in, where it's like, okay, well, you have to charge a fee for that. But eventually, it would be nice to just have a space where it's just community driven, and we all just get together and make some fun stuff together. And then that's it. And it doesn't have to be an exchange of money. It's just exchanging knowledge and learning about different ways of creating art. And it would be so cool to, learn from indigenous people from the area and the types of art and the crafts that they make, and just being able to exchange knowledge like that is like the stuff that I truly crave. And hopefully there are other people out there that crave those things too, because as an adult, it's so important to keep learning. And I will say that I'm such a nerd. I love learning new stuff. So I think it would just be really cool to find people like that I could just share all that knowledge with, and we just get together and have grand old time. Know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm actually coming to the end. I realize when I start coming to the end of one of these, like, I start getting excited because I'm just like, yes, we are getting there. We're going to make this happen. We're going to finish this up. But sometimes I get too excited and I'm like, oh no, I messed it up. And then I end up like getting a mark somewhere across it. But hey, good thing about these doodles, if you do get an errant mark somewhere where you're just like, oh, I wasn't supposed to put that there, you could later turn that into a doodle. And I think that's why I also left so much white space around here too, is that, if I do get a random mark, I can absolutely fix it later and not really have to worry about it. I think this is fine being that open. Gives the eyeball some room to breathe. Okay, so this little wonkiness that happened over here, I know some people would be like, I don't even notice it, but I do. So I'm gonna make it seem like the black area is just broadened a little bit more. And there we go. I meant to do that. All right. Look at that. I finished some artwork today. So here's one circle out of a million. But hey, I got some artwork done today. I do feel a lot better than I did earlier, so that was nice. And hopefully you were able to just kind of doodle along with me. Again, if you were just like, I don't want to hear this, and you just put it on mute and put your own music on, that is fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Some people might listen to this and be like, well, heck, she was a real Debbie Downer today. And I was, because I am, but I feel better right now after making this. So go make some art. If you didn't while you were making this, just do some doodles. And I didn't even have to use the book. So that made me feel good. I just kind of did some random shapes on there and it turned out fine. Yay! Now I don't want you to hold your breath for the next video because Lord, I don't know when that's going to be. I'm a shoot for every other week again, but it might be once a month. We'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you, I shall see you next time. Bye. Heart to heart. Did you have a good time though? I hope you did. I feel like I've been too professional on this channel. This is me, okay? This is me, chaotic. This is just who I am. And I need to get back to my roots, okay? Hope you had a good time. All right, bye-bye. How you turn this thing off? Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.